that provide them with the right balance between investment and gains. The top two highlighted here are user behavior analytics and privileged access management. This is in line with the common controls of the frameworks that I mentioned earlier on, and that were the NIST directive, ISO, or NIST framework. In another study done by Ponemon, it highlights the impact of cyber automation, showing that 59% of the respondents strongly agree on saving operational costs due to automation. The study also showed 55% to strongly agree on reducing personal costs due to automation. Now, it should be noted that the impact on personal cost does not necessarily mean getting rid of staff. Automation isn't necessarily going to replace staff of the airport. Most staff are already overloaded, dealing with alerts, false positives, and not being able to respond to what they really should respond to. Cyber automation is going to be a technology that will be able to do repeatable security tasks and free up the staff that the organization already has. As such, this staff can now focus on more strategic work that benefits the business. The personal cost shown is also about not to take on more and more people to read log files and do the basics, because automation will be able to do that. As a consequence, the people who do more interesting work that benefits the business, addressing one of the concerns raised earlier on at the very beginning of this presentation, on the airport's ability to keep skilled security resources actually working for the airport, staying with the airport. Let's now introduce Nokia's security organization, automation and response solution, or SOAR. That's a great, nice marketing term. However, it also actually represents exactly what we're after: automation and quick, effective responses. And to put it simple, with an effective security, orchestration, automation, and response solution, it's possible to achieve more in less time, with higher gains, while still allowing for human decision-making when it's most critical. The airport runs a mission and business-critical IT, OT, and cloud infrastructure. And the network is there to serve a key purpose. Protection of such network is key. And the sole role of such protection is to ensure that the network continues its purpose and guarantees airport safety. No attack happens immediately. Most attacks take time before they actually happen. Attackers will do their research, try to break in, latch on and expand their footprint in the network to gather more and more information, until they have gathered enough information and feel ready to execute their attack or do their exfiltration of data with all the consequences attached. It is of utmost importance that airports detect activity at a very early stage in order to ensure that the network continues to function as expected and operations and safety are not affected. Even for so-called closed networks at the airports, it's not guaranteed that these cannot be under attack. Insiders may be able to attack these, and in time we expect these closed networks will get connected anyway as part of the digitization effort of the airport. Now, the question, of course, is how do you deploy SOAR in this environment? The way we implement SOAR into the airport environment is introducing our Security Management Center as a guardian of the network, gathering as much info as possible. As such, we're using the network as a sensor. Existing security systems, such as SIEM-based systems, can be used to feed the enormous amount of data into Nokia Security Management Center. The data is being put into context by our Security Management Center and will be used to detect anomalies and automatically create a response in an informed way, much better than is available today. We will look at this into a little bit more detail a bit later into the training. Now, if we look at the concept of using the network as a sensor, it is clear that soon you realize that such approach of gathering data and putting it into context alone isn't enough to become efficient in your approach to protect your networks. In other words, there's still things missing. There are two very crucial elements missing before we even go and collect just data from the network. First, we're missing information about who is doing what and when in my network. If an airport has no idea who is doing what and when, it makes no sense at all to spend an awful amount of money on implementation of all kinds of controls. The key element we're talking about here is called NetGuard Identity Access Management. Once the airport has visibility and control over what a person is allowed to do towards an element or an application in the network, the airport would gain in awareness and has more control over an incident in the network once it happens. Secondly, we're missing information about how the airport network should be configured to secure safe and efficient operation. A solution is needed that detects anomalies caused by element configuration changes. Different from perimeter security control, like, for instance, firewalls, the airport would get visibility of changes inside the network configuration, possibly caused by an attacker. Nokia's solution for network change control is called NetGuard Audit Compliance Manager. Now, let's start looking a bit more into identity access management. Airports typically have a myriad of network elements in their network. Typically, these network elements are managed by multiple network or element management systems from different vendors. There will be no consistency between the NMS and EMS systems regarding identity management. The setup of a typical airport network comes with a range of security challenges. So as I mentioned before, if I don't know who is doing what in my network, how do I even know that someone has stolen the credentials of someone? How do I manage this process and avoid that an account is being misused by an attacker or a malicious insider? Traditionally, as shown in this slide, network elements are being accessed by either the NMS or the EMS system, or users would even bypass these NMS and EMSs and have a direct connection to the network element. There is no control, no visibility of who's accessing what and when, and probably there's no logging on element level, resulting in broken audit and traceabilities. Most probably there is no password rotation implemented either. In addition, third parties, such as vendors and contractors, may access the network for service purposes. They may also have direct access to the network elements, resulting in, again, broken or no audit trails. In order to overcome this challenge, in a complex multi-vendor environment, such as the airport, a centralized privileged access approach will need to be implemented, taking care of OT and IT identity management, allowing the airport to create awareness of who is doing what and when in the network. Introducing Nokia's NetGuard Identity Access Manager allows airports to centralize the security of airport IT personnel, engineers, suppliers, and machines. No longer will there be any shared accounts between users, as well as that users will not have direct access towards the network elements in the network. With the Identity Access Manager in place, the airport creates enhanced awareness of who is doing what and when in the network, allowing for quick resolution of breaches, as well as an audit trail being available. Sometimes it may be sensitive for the airport to talk about a solution like identity access management. People working in security at the airport may interpret this as the airport does no longer trust us. In fact, the opposite is true. The airport is actually protecting their own security staff with an identity access management system. In case of an incident, the airport security manager can scroll back in time and prove his or her own staff is not involved with the incident, effectively protecting them from false accusations. As mentioned previously, the second critical component of securing the airport network is involved with configuration control. During installation of a critical network, such as the campus IP MPLS core and LAN network of the airport, Nokia would ensure that the network is fully hardened. It's doing so by ensuring that all unused ports are closed and unnecessary protocols are being disabled. Now, over time, things may change though. How does the airport actually know that the initial configuration is still in place? How will the airport prove in a structured way to the lawmaker that their full network has the right configuration settings? As an example shown here is a third-party service organization that is doing its regular maintenance control in a part of the airport network. The individual is doing the regular maintenance on the network elements. However, at the end, he adds a user command to open up a backdoor. As such, everything seems normal. However, a small change has happened. How can the airport actually detect this in a timely fashion in order to secure operations and safety of the airport? With Nokia's Network Audit Compliance Manager, the airport will have enhanced awareness regarding the state of the network. The backdoor opened by the individual of the third-party service organization wasn't there before and will create an alarm based on comparing the so-called gold configuration with the current configuration. In addition, the airport will have a process to prove regulatory compliance of the network state in an automated fashion rather than retrieving network element information manually, which is not cost efficient. The Audit Compliance Manager can do this in an automated fashion. Summarizing, I have now introduced 3 NetGuard components that will help airports to more effectively deal with securing their services and safety: Security Management Center, Identity Access Manager, and Audit Compliance Manager. Together, they will provide the airport with contextual insight, as well as allow for an automated way of response to deal with the incident before it can become a breach. Now let's have a closer look to Nokia's Security Management Center, or SMC. NetGuard SMC analytic capabilities transform security data captured from the network into security insights, as mentioned before. Remember, using the network as a sensor. It's delivering rapid identification of anomalies, threats, and network misconfiguration vulnerabilities. Correlation of the network configuration settings and security access events allow airport security operators to actually learn normal behavior to improve the resolution of the incident. Consequently, it allows airports to anticipate, prevent, pinpoint, and isolate security policy violations in a quicker way. The NetGuard SMC solution also includes an automation of typical day-to-day workflows to increase efficiency and effectiveness of the security operations. Remember, the current statistics shows that only 30% of all the alerts are being investigated. Using automation, airports can significantly improve investigation and keep their operations secure. Obviously, within SMC, we can define to what extent automation should take place. Important decisions can still be made, approved by humans. Airports can decide the level of automation implemented. So-called cyber playbooks are being used to automate the responses based on the requirements of the airport. Responses can be either sent northbound, like for instance to trouble ticketing systems or incident report systems, as well as southbound towards the network elements. It should be stressed again that airport IT security personnel can be relieved from these repetitive tasks and focus on more challenging topics. This will help the airport to keep their security resources working for the airport by offering them more challenging and interesting tasks. Now, let's look at an example of a threat factor inside the airport. The example is about a camera that is being connected to the campus network through a switch. The camera could either be inside the terminal or it could be installed at the outer perimeter of the airport surveying the fence. The camera is uploading images to the VMS system, the video management system. The network is only using traffic from the camera using access list for only this type of element to reach the VMS application. Now the attacker becomes active. The attacker will check on open ports on the switch, and when all ports are being disabled, he may decide to disconnect the device and connect the attacker's computer to the switch and start scanning. At this point in time, there may be things in the switch that may have been lost. However, unfortunately, they were not correlated. As such, none of the monitoring systems today will be able to detect that something is really happening. Now, the attacker may not be successful with this type of an attack because he might not be able to reach further than just the HTTP application that is feeding the camera. So the attacker might try a different route and use an alternative attack to become more successful, such as, for instance, using brute force to give them access to the switch, either through the in-band or out-of-band of the switch. And connect to the switch, take control over it, and he hops from system to system into the airport network, gaining more control over the network. The attacker moves lateral through the system, not noticed by any of the security systems. Eventually, he would reach the point of enough network control that would allow him to effectively activate his attack. Now let's have a look to the same scenario, the exact same scenario, with the NetGuard portfolio being active here. So that's SMC, Identity Access Management, and Audit and Compliance Management. Similar to the first example, the camera is still allowed to send traffic. Now the attacker starts. Right from the very beginning, the security systems, they will see two things. A port is going up and down on the switch, and the access list in the network has started to drop traffic, which is not normal situation. As such, because of this, the system will inform of a security event. At this point in time, there may not be enough information to rate this really as an incident. As a result, the cyber playbook will inform the resources, the airport resources, to look at specific things in the network in order to evaluate whether this is just an event or a security incident. Now the attacker starts to use brute force to attack the switch. And at this point, the system immediately knows there's a security incident. And the reason is simple. The strategy is that access to an element can only happen through the Identity Access Management System. Even if the attacker has received or stole the password from an insider, the way that the attacker retrieves access is against the concept that the airport has put in place with the Identity Access Management System. And as a result, the security incident will be risen. Okay, so Nokia offers an end-to-end cybersecurity approach for airports, spanning over three main domains. One is security operations, then we have network security and security services. Now, security operations, I have been touching upon in this presentation where I've outlined Nokia's approach to automating cybersecurity. Nokia also offers a range of networking solutions to airports, ranging from campus core networks to private wireless networks. These solutions have embedded security capabilities required by mission-critical networks. The combined NetGuard Security Operations Suite and Nokia's network security allows airports to safely implement their digital strategy. Nokia's cybersecurity services include a number of services like vulnerability testing as well as managed security services. Now, when purchasing from Nokia, airports may also want to know how Nokia themselves deal with security during the life cycle of our products. And it goes a bit beyond this GRTS to discuss this topic in great detail. However, I think it's key to remember that security is an integral part of Nokia's product quality, as well as that the Nokia's design for security ensures that security is built into products from the start of the development process and is being maintained throughout the product lifecycle. So this is the end of the what section. I'd like to hand it over now to Thomas, who will continue with the how section of this GRTS. Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Hey, this is Thomas. As Richard was saying, I'm taking you now to through the last part of the presentation of today, which is about the how. But before we start talking about the how, let's have a look into what Nokia is doing actually in aviation. What you heard, this is touching one of the three elements of our engagement in aviation, which is about the airports. But we are as well engaged in navigation service providers, which are the organizations running the ATC-related networks, and also with the airlines. For all the three of them, we have offerings in play, and we are quite successful with it. So you can see on the left side of the slides some logos that you may have heard about before. These are customers that are allowing us to talk about being our customers. We have a lot more, but these are the ones that we are allowed to show. Whilst on the right part of this slide, you see the famous councils and associations where we are a member of, and you have to be a member of if you want to be seen relevant in that part of industry. The map in the middle of it shows you the global presence, just to give you an idea what Nokia is doing already. Now let's have a look into the how indeed on the next slide. The how is about selling, and selling starts with generating an interest of the customer to talk about cybersecurity with Nokia. This is not easy because up to now we don't have a reference. I also call it the uphill battle. But we are, as you saw by the other slide, we are already present in aviation, and we have a strong positioning specifically on a topic that is up high as we speak. It's provided by the 5G hype. It's private wireless. And private wireless is in every newspaper. A lot of discussions are around that. It remains to be the door opener for our sales community. If there is one topic where it is the most probable way to get a call or a presentation organized, this is private wireless. So please focus on this topic first. This is the best way to get in touch with a customer. But when you are positioning private wireless there, within talking about it, underline the security improvements that this architecture is already providing the airport with. There is a lot of security topics that are today getting improved by introducing 5G already, and then see if you can start attaching a cybersecurity related discussion to it. Just check their interest if they want to expand on this and want to go deeper into the subject. But be aware, this is a matter of trust. You first have to deserve it. We first have to show that we are a party of trust before they would be willing to open their books and tell us about their concern, maybe also their weaknesses. So don't get frustrated if it doesn't work out at the first attempt. Try a second time. Try to build up this relationship, and then eventually you can have this deeper discussion generated. But once you are in this discussion, then please keep it at business level. This is what we want to do with cybersecurity first, to let the customer understand that it is a normal business function, this cybersecurity topic, amongst a lot of other things that they have to organize to mitigate their business risks. Definitely not an unprofitable investment, as some of them might still be. You have heard from Richard's presentation the value of cybersecurity, and also the financial threat that is provided if you don't be organized. It's better to talk business as a specialist talk at the very first attempt. There will be later in the time enough time to do it. As said, Nokia is not known for cybersecurity in airports. This perceived weakness, which is maybe driving your concern, turn this into an opportunity. Surprise them by Nokia's cybersecurity portfolio. Take the risk and surprise them. We are knowledgeable in other parts of the enterprise business where it is all about critical communication, and it must be logic to them that also we are getting engaged in cybersecurity. There is nothing that we can lose. We need to get this first or second reference done, and this topic will change. But we definitely have something to say. Now, on the next slide, as a reminder to what Richard explained, what are the three main messages that need to come across by talking to the customer? First, talk about the access control to the network in the airport. This is where the identity access management comes into play, which is a really strong tool, which is providing an organized way to have an access management under control. And this applies for the IT and the OT parts of the airport organization for every user, and this is definitely a unique selling point for Nokia. Second topic, talk to the customer. How can you be sure that once you have achieved a certain quality standard, it stays like it, that there is no change in the configuration? This is where the audit compliance manager comes into play. Any changes that are made are leaving a trace. It all will get recorded. Anything which is a change, we have a solution which we can also see as a unique capability. And with our audit compliance manager applied, everything will get documented. Then the third topic, this is about speed. The speed in reacting to an attack is key if you want to have an efficient defense. The speed is generated by machines. The cyber criminals, they're using machines to attack you, and there is no way a human being could cope with that speed of attack. This asks for automation with the security management center. According to the playbook, a lot of defense is organized just as an automated process. This A gives you speed, but B gives you also relief to your already overloaded operational staff, which has to do other things. This is helping the defense. Our SMC is an additional radar screen in their operations center, and it uses the network as a... Next slide. This is a slide which I'm not talking you through. It is part of the deck for you to be used as a repository where you find additional information. We have here today and more than that in a place which is to the right top side of that slide here, where it is all in the sales center archived as material. You also have much more in other parts of the SharePoint where it is about the rest of the aviation portfolio. You see it by the links, and also the contact data of Richard and myself is on that slide. Don't hesitate to involve us from an early beginning. So if you feel that your customer is ready for a cybersecurity conversation, then please notify us. We are there to help you, also for your first meeting, so that you can feel safe. Now, on the next slide, this is the one I will close with. The key takeaways that you should take home from this session. First, when you talk about cybersecurity, don't start with cybersecurity first. Use private wireless as your door opener, and then attach a cybersecurity discussion to it, generated by our good positioning on private wireless and also by our role as a trusted partner. Then once you are in this discussion, make sure your customer understands the value of a protection against insider threats. There's a lot of value behind not to be exposed to it. And then on top of that, also make clear to the customer how key it is to be fast and intelligent with your response. And the only way to do this is automation. So you need a system helping your staff to run against the waves of attacks provided by the cyber criminals. When you need to prioritize, start with the Identity Access Management, the IAM. Second on the list should be the Audit Compliance Manager, and then the full scope of the SCM, the Security Management Center, has to follow. This is what we wanted to explain to you today. Thank you very much for the time spent with us, and I think I give it back to Zineb now for the Q&A.
Many thanks, Thomas. I will only remind the attendees the credit information. Basically, the credit link is in the chat panel. I copy-pasted it a few minutes ago. However, if you didn't have a chance to capture it, you can always download the slide package and find the slide at the end of the package. So there is the link as well as the guide, which is embedded on the slide on the lower left, which tells you what to do with this link in this CSOD system. So it shows step by step how you should proceed. So that is one credit for attending the session. And then when you land in the CSOD page, you will find a short quiz. And this quiz will bring you one more credit point if you are from CEO and pass the quiz. So anyone can take it. However, the credits are only defined for the CEO employees. Okay, so back to you for the Q&A. And again, Matteo seems to have answered many questions already in this.
Okay, let's see a few questions that I have not answered. One is regarding the engagement we have with HIA Qatar. So maybe we have mentioned this in the slide where there are logos. I don't know if Thomas or Richard.
Yeah, we are engaged in Qatar. So we are involved with Hamad International Airport. Actually, we have an activity ongoing at the moment to position private wireless and automated triage. But we also have an existing project with Hamad International Airport where we have deployed the full distributed antenna system network.
Okay. And what about I think there is another question regarding engagement airport. Let me check. Is this Hamad International Airport? Is another engagement ongoing?
Hamad International Airport is the one in Qatar.
Okay, so the same. And okay, Daniel is asking about the dots that we have seen in the slide in North America, where we have deployed something in aviation. Could you say something more about those?
Yes, we have a couple of blue dots in NAM. So to give you a couple of examples, so San Francisco Airport is one of our customers for managed services, as well as for some IP gear, IP and PLS gear towards the airport. We have Indianapolis where we deploy a distributed antenna system as well as LAX. And I think that's about it where our current engagement is in R.
Okay. There is another question regarding the references. So if we have references of cybersecurity in airport, unfortunately not yet. I think that we are starting now the engagements with airports. We have references in general transportation, so we have a couple of references and talk ongoing with railways. And so, Richard, I think that you are starting now to define a bit more the go-to-market and the use cases suitable for airports.
Absolutely. This is the trigger. I mean, this session is really the trigger to get engaged on cybersecurity. And there will be marketing material available as well. So we are working on a brochure that is going to be available. We're planning to do some announcements in some of the magazines. We have a video already available. It's publicly available somewhere on YouTube, but you can find the link in the sales center. So all kinds of activities that we're starting to launch around cybersecurity at airports.
Yep. And then another question regarding the integration with Juniper, and in case Juniper has a SOAR solution. Yes, of course, we can integrate Juniper, and as far as I know, they don't have a SOAR solution. SOAR solution is typically a solution that software companies are deploying, and yeah, I think that Juniper is not a player there. Yeah.
Okay. I think I saw a question. SOAR versus NAC. NAC being network. Was it assurance, right?
Yeah. This was an acronyms issue here, because SOAR is close to AOR, that is an assurance product that's been discontinued and evolved in Nokia Assurance Center.
Right.
So SOAR is similar as acronyms as AOR. So yeah.
In my view, NAC is more of a sort of aggregating all the alarms and putting them into a context rather than being a cybersecurity service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. I think here's an interesting question as well, Matteo. Maybe you can answer that. So, who are our competitors here, and which ones do we face?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we have the main competitor here is CyberArk for access management, identity access management, and of course they are market leader. I think that audit for audit compliance management, we have less competition. Let's say we tend to say that our ACM is a differentiation point in our cybersecurity proposal. So for sure, I encourage you to pitch this, because it is quite competitive solution. And then we have other SOAR competition that are Splunk, for instance, and yeah, I think that we are more let's say competitive here, considering that we can support multi-domain compared with the Splunk in SOAR as a SOAR solution. I think that we have in SOAR also IBM QRadar. There was also a question about that. But even there, I think that we can have better multi-domain support, and even in terms of detection. So detection, I think that we can malware detection. So we have a more comprehensive portfolio if we consider also other pieces of NetGuard suite. So if we deliver also other, for instance, audit compliance together with our SOAR, for sure we can create more use case and playbook.
Right. Okay. any other questions that we still need to respond to? So let me have a look.
Answer all.
Just checking here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was related to SMC. That just to clarify, SMC is our SOAR platform, so Service Management Center. SOAR is a term that has been created by Gartner, and so our platform is called SMC, our SOAR platform. Yeah, then it's good to clarify that, of course, we can integrate our network with existing element management system like NSP, so to proxy all the accesses. And consider that a good point to remark is that identity access management can offer also a better, I would say, user experience when you have several element management system with different password in place. So identity access management is implementing the single sign-on functionality. So you, with one single password, user password, you can access all the application and the network element that you have integrated to identity access management. So even for the customer, there is a slide that Richard put where you see a fragmented scenario where you need to access several application and network element with NIAM in place. I think that you have a cleaner architecture as well, because it's a single point of access and of course can trace all the activities and proxy the password with the real network element password and all the other things that have been mentioned during this call.
Right. Okay. I think most of the questions were answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no additional coming in from what
So
we can see here.
Yeah. So if there's no further questions, Enep, then we can somewhat earlier close
Palo
the
Alto
call.
as well is a compare. Just just
Okay.
yeah. Palo Alto is a competitor. Yeah, as well. Yeah, don't know
Optex,
much about that, but yeah, I know that is another competitor. Yes, in SOAR.
We got in a new question. Any plans
Yeah.
to change NIAM from Win32 to web? Isn't it?
Matteo, so if you don't know.
No, I think that is one we need to ask product manager.
Oh, yeah, we'll take that one offline.
This one we come
Yeah,
back on.
Now we'll share the answer later. Yeah. Okay.
Okay then. I will place the session recording at the same location where the slides are. Maybe tomorrow. Otherwise, that's it for today. So many thanks to Matteo, Richard, and Thomas for all the valuable information they provided. And thanks everyone for being here with us. I hope it was useful for you. So have a good day ahead, and hope to see you all at the future session. Goodbye now.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for
Thanks,
your time.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, goodbye.
Bye.